Biggest thing I love about training athletes and people in general really is the fact that everybody's greatest obstacle is themselves. And training is nothing more than a tool to teach them what they're capable of. And I think that's a lot. People really miss that. They get so caught up with exercises and drills and whatever looks flashy on Instagram, when in reality, the majority of people's barriers are mental in nature. So being able to help them get over those things and put them in positions to fail and put them in positions where they have to learn the whys, the whats, and the how and get really technical always helps build confidence, and that's the ultimate thing that transfers. Where we're going now is we're heading off site to train the guys. We have NFL, he plays for the New York Jets, NFL player Henry Anderson. Henry's a defensive end, just actually signed a new contract. Awesome guy. Then we have an athlete from Ole Miss who's getting ready to go to his pro day. And so future NFL player, just trying to tweak some things, really make sure technically he's clean. Yeah, prior to when I head out to train the guys, there's a lot of prep. So usually got to enter the previous day's data. You can do that at the end of the week. Sometimes I'll do that, but a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of Excel. So we'll enter the data, whether that's their weight, whether that's any PRs that they may have hit that day, any adjustments I make to the program. I also look at athlete readiness. So we'll look at soreness of major areas within the body, look at hydration status, whether that's urine specific gravity or otherwise, and just really kind of keep tabs on trends. You know, I look at data integration with coaching kind of in the same way you look at the stock market. There's going to be days where the market tanks, there's going to be days where it rises, but you never get caught up on one event. So for example, if an athlete really has a bad day and I'm entering that data, I don't freak out and change the entire program. The reason we do data entry every day or at the end of every week is we want to look at these trends. Where are things starting to go? How does that coincide with big things that they've gone through in life? Like the other day, an athlete had a horrible session, but he also had his bachelor party the weekend before. A lot of young coaches think, oh my gosh, I need to scrap everything. This guy kind of shit the bed, for a matter of speaking. And the reality is no, like anybody's going to have a bad training session after something like that, or after a bad breakup, or if they didn't get a lot of sleep, if there's some family stressor. So locking in all this data, making sure to go back through the spreadsheets and seeing where things are long term is always a first step. And then it's just packing it up, getting on the road and getting ready to rock. Practicing the art of coaching is about being self-reflective. You always have to take the stance of you're trying to prove yourself to be a fraud, meaning you should always ask, why am I doing this? Could I defend it in a court of law? Is the athlete able to understand this clearly? If not, why is it? Is it because I'm tripping on my own ego? I'm trying to use too many fancy terms. I'm trying to get a little bit too technical, or even worse, trying to be a perfectionist, which is something that I dealt with really early in coaching. Is everything had to be perfect. And if it wasn't, I felt like I was a failure. And really, that was just my own ego getting in the way. Coaching is teaching. This is a learning process. No student's going to get it overnight, which is, again, why you want to rely on the simple things done savagely well, in a manner of speaking. So, I think that coaches need to be self-aware. They constantly need to challenge their own thoughts and biases, and they constantly need to seek more clarity as to why they're doing what they're doing and what could they remove to even be more effective. I mean, chefs don't focus on including as many ingredients as possible in their food. It's always about what's going to make it taste the best, what's going to be the most potent, and stick with it from there. Yeah, the biggest thing I do differently, and I just don't sell bullshit. I think a lot of other coaches try to reinvent the wheel. They try to act like there's some secret sauce out there. They always try to rely on some special piece of equipment, some unique exercise. To me, it's always about fundamentals, not fluff. And at the end of the day, coaching is about communication. So why guys come to me is we really refine basic techniques. We find ways to make that challenging and engaging. And then it's the way I teach them. I mean, there's so many things out there that focus on, what should I use? What drills should I bring into this session? But for me, it's always about how you coach the athlete, how you communicate with them. Because at the end of the day, if they don't know why you're doing it, they're not going to stick with it anyway, and they're not going to go at the highest level when you do ask them to perform the drill, the skill, or the activity. Things that I'm talking about when people really try to use some esoteric or not scientifically proven method. I mean, you see it all the time. There's people on Instagram that, I'm not going to give them any hype, but these foot speed people, and they'll just sit there and they basically teach athletes how to tap dance, or there's pants that have bungees in them, and they try to talk athletes, oh, you need these pants because the resistance will help your speed mechanics. And really, none of this stuff is proven. At the end of the day, a lot of these people are trying to hustle athletes out of money, and they're trying to cover up for what is bad coaching. they don't know how to coach, so they rely on a tool, or they rely on something that seems really unique or flashy or is going to get a lot of likes. And that's the biggest lie most people are taught, is like, there's no tool that's going to make up for bad coaching. There's no technology that's going to make up for a lack of being able to relate to your athletes. And while that stuff sounds soft and warm and fuzzy, it's a reality. Like, at the end of the day, you deal with people. You're going to have to solve people problems, and that's what being a coach is about. So a lot of what we worked on today, the theme, at least in the morning from the movement standpoint, was multi-directional skills. And I'm big on making sure that these guys understand that principles of athletic development transcend whether they're high school athletes, professional athletes, what have you. They still have to continue to get exposed to movements in different planes. So it doesn't matter whether somebody's a defensive end or a defensive back, even though there's going to be differences and subtle nuances within what they do, they still all have to know how to change direction. They need to know how to maintain center of gravity, level change. They need to know proper cutting angles, mechanics. So we work on that. They get a full, over 9 months of position specific work, but they don't always get exposed to a lot of different drills that will really bridge the gap of their weaknesses. So we hit a lot of that early on. I never really worry about perfection. When I was a younger coach, I'd get so caught up in social comparison and this idea that everything had to be perfect that my sessions weren't really that productive. I'd sit there and think, well, I don't know, during this rep of the squat, he didn't get perfect depth, even if he got 4 out of 5 reps, fine. Or I didn't see him do this. And that's something that a lot of people, again, there's YouTube trolls, there's Instagram people, they sit there and they think, I could do that. And they forget that it's not as easy as they think, especially when you take every single snapshot that only they're seeing, but you put it into an hour and a half or 2 hour training session. So to try to squat 450 pounds after you've done plyometrics, after you've done agility drills, after you've done those things is not quite that easy. There's also people that will sit there and think, well, in high school I did this. Well, yeah, you did a 600 pound quarter squat, or you did a 330 pound jumping jack clean where you barely got your elbows underneath. These guys aren't weightlifters, they're athletes. So it's really about finding minimal effective dose, which is what we did today. We did plyos, agility, lower body session. We had one athlete that had never done half the movements that we were doing. So I find more joy now in not chasing perfect, but in watching these guys make progress and seeing them learn over time.